Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Running Wild Podcast. I'm your co-host, Rich. Alongside me, as always, my co-host, Runz.
The modern day Maharaja.
Did not know that you were the modern day Maharaja. Congratulations on your championship victory.
Hey, you didn't know that?
Before we get started, I just want to remind you that we're brought to you in partnership with pwponderings.com, lastwordonprowrestling.com, and rohworld.com. You can also find us on the Wrestling to the Max network. Alright, so with all that stuff out of the way, we had this last pay-per-view this weekend was Payback? No, Backlash.
And Takeover.
Yeah, and Takeover. Right off the bat, I feel bad saying it, but it's TNA's, I mean not TNA, never TNA. NXT Takeovers, generally for me, except for the one before Mania, are better than the pay-per-view.
Yeah, every
WWE,
time.
the main show pay-per-view.
I even Mania, I don't recall a time when it wasn't.
Well, yes, in some ways, but the spectacle.
Even if I'm not into some of the matches, they're always better than you anticipate. It doesn't matter who's there, what's going on. It's always excellent.
All right, before we even get started, I just want to bring up something random. Or not random, but I think Bobby Roode's NXT is more enjoyable than Nakamura's NXT.
In terms of what? Overall, or just with the championship reign?
The championship reign.
Well, right, because Bobby Roode is a more entertaining person. His persona, his gimmick, the music, the old school heel qualities that he possesses is more entertaining. Nakamura is a superstar. So is Bobby Roode, but I don't know. Nakamura is from Japan, right? So he doesn't have that kind of promo that Roode possesses. And Nakamura is real. Bobby Roode gives you that, like I said, old school heel vibe. So it's definitely entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I think also in some ways the more they're signing or they have more guys in the spot. I really like Roderick Strong. I really like Cassius Ohno.
And we can get to that in a little bit with the Takeover, but that's what I was just going to say. It's also that Roode is challenging or has a different challenger every month. Nakamura, it was kind of just him and Samoa Joe back and forth, and then it was him and Bobby Roode, and that was it. So I'm not upset by that, but that's what we got there. So now with the likes of Roddy and Tommy coming back and all that, we get some more different matches that we haven't seen.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad he retained against. So let's just get into the NXT show. I'm trying to think of the early matches because right now I can only think of the women's
First
match. Right away.
First match was Roddy and Eric Young.
Yeah, I mean, I like Roddy starting the pay-per-view. Young's fine. He's never somebody that I want to end up seeing on the main roster.
I don't know that I agree with that. I watched TNA. I really always liked Eric Young, even when he was Super Eric and doing all these dumb things. It was always entertaining. And then when he flipped that switch, became crazy, won the TNA title, now he's basically doing that same kind of gimmick here with Sanity. I love the group. So I'm excited to see what happens with Eric Young in the future. But he's a perfect guy to work with these young guys, put them over, have awesome matches. I love the way he looks. I love the crazy character that he does. So it makes me root or makes me appreciate the babyface-ness of the other guy. So it works out.
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense, actually. I don't know if I would have put that first on the card. I guess that's my only thing. But I enjoyed... I mean, I love seeing Roddy. I just don't even understand how he's able to run faster. Towards the end of the match. It's kind of absurd. I don't know how he keeps doing it.
Turns on that last gear, man.
how he keeps that in his reserves. It's just kind of incredible, to be honest. But Roddy ends up winning. I think the right guy went over, and now he's moving on. I guess slight spoiler. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Is it really a spoiler to say that he's moving on to?
Well, I mean, yeah, he just lost the number one contenders match to Itami. So now that Itami lost his title match, you would assume the other guy who was in consideration is now the next man up. So it makes sense, and it's something that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing, and it'll be enjoyable.
So what was up next?
Next was the best match of the weekend. Pete Dunne against Tyler Bate for the UK Championship. And this, if people haven't seen, go out of your way, check it out, watch it, because it was amazing.
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. I actually saw some people online or whatever, the internet wrestling community, talking about how they didn't like the fact that what's his name? Pete Dunne seemingly was getting emotional as he hit his finisher before he got the pinfall.
Okay.
Because he's a heel. He's not supposed to be that way. I mean, I watched it again and again. And he's got a weird face while he's doing it, but I don't think he's, like, sobbing hysterically.
No. And what... I guess...
It's not like Big Show.
It's 2017, and it's really not a secret that, like, wrestling is a show, right? Like, it's not a legitimate thing. So Pete Dunne maybe, like, smiling that he realized his dream or whatever the case, I don't know that I even looked at it that way. I noticed it, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, like, this is a guy who just busted his ass for, 15 minutes maybe, and won the championship. I thought it was awesome. Like, I don't care who you are, what you're portraying. It's not like he stood there afterwards and bawled. He held the title with his teeth, stood there like a beast, and I thought that was everything that you could want from it.
Yeah, no, I agree in many ways, and one of the things that I kind of would that I would bring up as a counterpoint to that is in a legitimate sport, let's say baseball. If a guy sits and swings and he realizes that swing was a home run swing, he's gonna cry before he's rounding second base, and that's totally cool.
I've never seen anyone cry
while I would. That would happen if I hit the game
hitting a home run. But I take LeBron James. A lot of people really dislike him. A lot of people hate him. Whatever the case, right? When that guy wins the championship, he cries. Like you get emotional. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Pete Dunne is a human being. So when he had that look on his face as he pinned Tyler Bate, he put his head down. In my mind, whenever that happens, the guy's like, "Yo, thanks. Like that was dope." And that's yeah, thanks. That's what I wanted to see. It's two guys putting on an excellent match. That's what they strive to do. They killed it. The place was going insane. That was exactly what you want to see from the debut of the UK show, or leading to that.
I think some of the argument is the idea that you're breaking the fourth wall, and that in professional wrestling, you're not supposed to do that.
In 2017, that doesn't exist anymore. There is no such thing as the fourth wall. With the internet and all of this stuff, people know. We talk about being the elite all the time. That's all they do is break that wall and make a joke of it, and it's the best.
Wait, so just because you brought that up, and we don't need to follow linear format, did you see the latest being the elite, the curtain call?
Yes.
I mean, the fact that they used the Breaking Bad reference for him to get poison Adam Cole with, what is it? Resin? Or no, not resin.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, is just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
The you know the entire wrap up of that storyline and literally each week building to that, it was phenomenal. It's the most entertaining stuff I've seen in a long time, and whatever they do, it's money. So just keep doing it.
Cheap plug time. We don't have any fancy music, but if you want to read about me talking about how great being the elite is, you should head over to pacemagazine.com, where I actually had published an article very recently. And while I'm at it, you should go check out the Cody Rhodes interview that's posted up on the site as well. So back to talking about what we were talking about. But no, yeah, I wrote that article about them being great storytellers because I meant it. And I think it's crazy, but I think my favorite part of the episode was actually when Cody Rhodes just couldn't start a promo without saying "fuck the revival."
It's the best.
Why is he doing that? But why is he doing it?
I guess because he's from WWE. Maybe he's friends with them. I'm sure they have some type of relationship, especially with seeing how Dusty was such a big part in NXT while they were blowing up. So, but the Young Bucks and the Revival have a little beef. So it's awesome. It's the funniest stuff when he just like texts them "fuck the Revival" or he just says it out of nowhere. He writes a note. It's you get to see how entertaining these guys are just kind of in life. Like, like Marty Scurll, when he's playing that character and being the elite, like he's just being ridiculous. He's not playing the villain. He's not doing this. He's just being an outrageous Marty Scurll.
I loved during that episode where they kind of said that he had always been Bullet Club.
Mm.
Like, oh my god, I can't believe how this worked out. It's almost like I was always in Bullet Club. That's what it feels like. And they just looked at the camera like, oh. It's so good.
The stuff they do, and I'm not sure if you caught. Like, there was one time after PWG that Adam Cole was like, all right, come on, guys, let's go out to eat. And then they were like, yeah, okay, cool. And then just the Young Bucks and Marty Scurll were at Denny's, and they were like having fun, just eating like slow motion, eating the food and doing all this stupid stuff. It's just ridiculous. Imagine being in Denny's and you just see the Young Bucks and Marty Scurll sitting there being retarded. It's outrageous. I don't know what I would do.
Wait, we can just. I'll just mention briefly the reason we're not going to talk about the Ring of Honor episode this week, and we're instead going to talk about being the elite and that show and what's going on in ROH through their show, is because it was a airing of Honor Rising from February.
Right.
So I got to see the Martinez Goto match, which, from all accounts, had been really good, and I agreed with what they said, but I hate watching stuff that's 4 months old.
Right, and especially when you know the results or have seen part of the show or whatever the case. So that's the worst part. But, I think that's the most amazing thing to me was, like, seeing that Nick Jackson filmed the Kenny Omega promo.
So
and
good.
Seeing, how whatever they were doing on Being the Elite, they turned into this perfectly told story that ended up playing out in wrestling. So, that's really cool that these guys started something on YouTube and now it's the main storyline in Ring of Honor because of it.
And because I'm not done officially backing them completely. One thing I thought was really cool was somebody mentioned on Twitter that they should start a Patreon. That's that thing that nobody ever went to.
You want to say that in English?
I believe that's how you say it in English. It's like patron with an E in it. Anyway, it's this service where you can put stuff up and people can pay for it. So if you're like, for example, we could make somebody pay for our podcast.
Okay.
We will never do that.
We would never do that. Nice people.
Exactly. We just like to bring you the free content because we're amazing. So somebody suggested that they put their Being the Elite shows behind the Patreon paywall. And they were like, "Yeah, we'll never do that because you guys are awesome, and we make so much money from our merch that we don't have to." So, because I heard someone say recently, or I saw a tweet that there was a company or some video garnered 1 million views, but because of the way the new ad revenue, YouTube structure is working, wrestling is part of. They're basically like. Not allowing certain advertisers to be on wrestling videos, which would make more money for some of these feds that run that way, because apparently
I'm kind of, doesn't that kind of make sense? Like, would Tide want their ad on Beyond? Like, you know what I mean? Tide wants it to reach the maximum amount of people. So I it sucks. But I don't necessarily disagree with the logic behind it.
Well, the logic behind it was actually that the advertisers were complaining because there were like obscene videos put up, and the ads were running on those. So the filter that YouTube is using includes wrestling now. So it's not that the companies are specifically saying we don't want to advertise for wrestling. It's that YouTube categorized wrestling that way.
I'm not saying the company specifically, but I'm just it makes sense for the bigger companies to advertise for the bigger videos.
Yeah, but at the same time, I just want to say, like, YouTube to change that abruptly like that is
but it's not necessarily abruptly if what you're saying is. Their ads were on proper videos, then it was definitely something that was, that's completely understandable. You don't want it on that. Maybe we all disagree with wrestling being placed in that category, but I'm saying if how many, I don't know, it makes some sense that the huge companies aren't giving some of these smaller videos or smaller things that much money.
Yeah, granted, actually, that I agree with you there. It's just the change in it, I think, is just the awful part
It's unfortunate
for those people who are making money. I mean, for us, because of all the YouTube
at the
content
same time,
we
but at the same time, there's Flow Slam and there's this and there's that and there's the network and you can high spots and you can find a way beyond and whatever other companies are on YouTube to get on something. So you don't necessarily, I get it, but YouTube is extra, but you don't need to have all of your content there. You can post exclusive things whenever you want and blah, 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 but find somewhere else that's going to make you that money back.
I wish we were making that money. All right, so back to NXT.
Yeah, the women's match, it was solid, but it lacked the anyone else is winning this. Asuka was winning, that was that.
It's a shame that you didn't watch it here because Statwife did not like Nikki Cross.
Why is that? Just like the grungy look to it?
No, the moveset. I think the moveset was offensive to her. Like, you're scratching her back? I've seen somebody recently is like publishing articles where they're making their wife watch like weird stuff, like Sturgis 99 or whatever, and getting the reaction and writing it up. And it just bothers me that I did not do that. I could have had a book published at this point. Like, this has been going on for such a long time. The Randy Orton pose. Do you remember how she would just pop the Randy Orton pose like 5 years ago?
I'm not too familiar with that.
You'd be over for pay-per-views, and she would just pop the Randy Orton pose. She loved Randy Orton.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Because you know what, Randy? You are trash. I know you listen. I know you listen. Okay, and I don't like it.
Okay.
Sorry about that. All right, but anyway, yes, I could have made millions, but that match was so much more enjoyable because every time she took control, Statwife got increasingly angry, and it was
right. So that added an extra element for you.
It was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. So
yeah, I mean, other than the stat wife element, it was an okay match. It was what it was, and it'll be interesting to see where we go from here.
I'll disappoint you guys that unfortunately around this time is when Statwife left the pay-per-view viewing, so things are going to be a little bit different moving
I thought
forward.
you were going to say around this time you fell asleep.
No, I didn't fall asleep yet, you jerk. I was going to tell them about that afterwards.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was Sunday, right.
Listen, man, I got to say something. Evolve, kudos to Evolve. Thank you, Evolve. Thank you. Because I enjoy a 2:30 Saturday show. That is something I can get behind every week. Professional wrestling, listen, please, just play it earlier. Or I'm moving to California because I heard a nasty rumor that because of the time difference, they can watch a pay-per-view and be done by 9 o'clock. Do you understand what I could do with that time?
Right, a pay-per-view, but everything else you're watching at the regular time or getting spoiled.
And then I have to wake up and put the pay-per-view on, and we'll talk about that at the end of NXT, but I basically knew something was happening because when I put the show on, I saw how much time was left after the match.
Oh, okay.
And was like...
I didn't really... Like, I noticed the time, but it didn't affect my, like, oh, something is gonna happen here.
See, like, whenever I watch a pay-per-view, and, they normally end around, let's say... Or they used to, right? You used to always like end about 10:50, 10:45.
Yeah.
Right, and then there'd be 15 minutes of like weird pay-per-view commercials before they put the show back on. I was always aware of that to the point where this sounds very weird, but I used to actually cover the cable box.
Right.
When the pay-per-view when the main event came on, because I didn't want to know how much time was left.
Yeah.
And when you put it, I don't like watching anything on delay. So when you put it up there and you see, oh, there's so much time is left. Oh, crap.
Right. I also agree, that I don't like knowing exactly how much time is left in matches or shows because it does affect some elements of watching the main event. But with this one, I was just like, oh, man, this is just going to end pretty early, huh? Okay.
Yeah?
Because it's not like his celebration took 20 minutes. It was pretty simple.
Oh, yeah. So, what do we have next? Rude versus Atami?
Yeah, which I was like, whoa, this is not... Like, At first I was like, man, the show's over already, huh? Damn. And then, like, after the match was over, they were like, they came back, and I was like, oh, shit, wait a minute. No, there's another match. Oh, man.
That was funny.
It was with that match, I was like, wait a minute. Either DIY is winning or something is happening after the match that's crazy. So I liked that because it was still a ladder match and it still didn't matter. It didn't spoil who won. But that... What an end to that match and that tag team and everything.
Rant in 3, 2, 1. I am goddamn sick of these motherfuckers like goddamn Tommaso Ciampa, Kevin fucking Owens beating up good people who are their friends. Ciampa lived with Gargano. He was part of his fucking wedding party, and that son of a bitch. And you know what? Even though there were 10 minutes left,
like a picture moving out or whatever.
That piece of shit. I don't even know how much kayfabe this is. I'm sick and tired of these people. Fuck the Festival of Friendship. Everything that happened with that other guy Generico and Steen, and then what Steen did.
Generico, whatever happened to that guy?
That guy disappeared. And then what Owens did to his best friend Sami Zayn. Like, you both are Canadian. You motherfuckers need to stick together. And then he does the same thing to Jericho. And then this shit, I'm just... You know what? I was fucking pissed when Shawn Michaels did it to Marty Jannetty. I just don't understand. You show loyalty, you show kindness, and what does it get you? That's not a good lesson for the kids out there, okay?
Well, you also have to look at the other side of things and understand that Tommaso Ciampa said that he felt as soon as he was hurt and he knew he was hurt. And as soon as he left, that Gargano was going to find another partner and replace him. And so he did what he had to do to make sure that Gargano was out right along with him. Hey, maybe there's things about Johnny Gargano that we don't know.
Just come on, WWE, be a star. Like, just stop with this bullying of good people. I'm not a fan of it. I think it needs to be off air. That all being said, amazing that I knew something was going to happen, and then they waited till the ramp.
Yeah.
Because that swerved me. I was like, wow, so we're just legit watching them after losing for this long?
Right. I was, at first, and Authors of Pain was celebrating, I was like, oh, is like, what tag team could show up right now that would blow the roof off this place? And I was like, imagine like the Young Bucks came out. I just said it to myself as a joke. But then they left, and I was like, okay. And then the DIY got in the ring, and they were giving him the whole goodbye and everything. And I was just like, oh, okay, this is how we're going to end it. All right, maybe, hey, what heel tag team is going to show up right now? Nope. Oh, okay. Oh, they're going to the ramp. Then they got to the ramp, and Ciampa grabbed him, and it was perfect. That very same ramp where Kevin Owens grabbed Sami Zayn and obliterated him, right? So
it's crazy because
brings back good memories.
I have rooted for heels for quite a long time at this point.
It's the similarities to these Sami Zayns and John Garganos that get you going.
I mean, they do have sweet facial hair, so I will admit that we're brethren in that situation. But I remember being this angry when, and I'm an adult now, but when Jake the Snake came to the wedding reception and gave Macho Man and Elizabeth the fucking snake in a box, like, I was like, this son of a bitch, and that's before I knew it was fake or predetermined.
Well, correct. Obviously. You were a child. That's the appropriate reaction.
Owens and Ciampa, I maybe perhaps I'm not embellishing. I legitimately am very upset. Like, I was really upset.
Both of these things have been like coming since day one now. Like, you know what I mean? We've been just waiting for them. So it's great that when they come, it's still this enjoyable, and we're still able to get into it like that. That tells you that they're doing a good job.
Yeah, I like professional wrestling because, despite the fact that I've been calling for Ciampa to say that he had to do it himself for months, I'm still upset when it actually happened.
Right. I mean, just think about last week. You talked about Johnny Gargano getting new theme music. Maybe Tommaso Ciampa wasn't a big fan of that. Johnny Gargano was already planning for his singles push while he was still in the tag team. That's not the most noble thing to do from a partner.
Just once, I want a guy like Sammy or a guy like Johnny Gargano to just beat the crap out of the other dude and be like, I know you're going to fucking do this to me soon, so I did it first.
Right. Well, it's funny. In 2K17, I was playing one day, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were my tag champs, and then I had them split up, and I cut the promo. I was Kevin Owens, and out of nowhere, Sami Zayn kicked me in the nuts.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I guess I'm just going to run with this. And he's literally been the champion for a year. So, it's pretty fun.
See, dreams do come true.
I agree with what you're saying. At some point, it would be nice for these guys to just snap. And maybe we get that at some point.
I would do it, just so you know. I'm preparing you. If we ever make it as a tag team, I don't know how that would occur.
And I get all the blame every time a bully attacks a babyface. Rich points out that I'm enjoying it a little too much, and he's getting worried. And now I want you all to just say that he is the first person to admit that he would do that to me. So I just want to put that out there.
It's not a lie, folks. I would do it preemptively.
See?
Just my paranoia would take over. I also sidebar to the story that you guys may not know. I was once threatened with a barbershop window super kick when we were going to WrestleMania 29, which then led me to accidentally close the car door with the car running before WrestleMania 29, and I had to break into my car.
I don't even think
you yelled Marty Jannetty, and I thought you were going to super kick me in the mouth, so I ran out of the car.
Because that's in this tag team. You know, I'm the Shawn Michaels, you're the Jannetty, and I just said it, and you close the keys in the car. I don't understand.
Just to be clear, you left at that point, but then I got to meet a guy dressed as Goldust. And somebody had a coat hanger in their car, and I was able to break into the car and get my keys. And a guy gave me a beer who's parked next to me because he saw.
So you were the real winner there.
Yeah, no, I really was, but it was close to not being that good for me because I almost got kicked in the face. See,
you thought you almost got kicked in the face, but that was never.
I've been waiting for the heel turn for 4 years. When it happens, it's going to be really upsetting.
Slow burn.
The slow burn is killing me. All right, so that was NXT. Now we can move on to what is it? I can't even.
And
Backlash?
This is Backlash, but this is a cool element before Backlash. This is a cool element of the Takeover that we get to see the next week, but being there, you get 3 extra matches, so like the Takeover show, you got to see Drew Galloway and I forget, Hero, right? Was Hero the main event?
Yeah.
Right. So you got to see all the guys you would have wanted to see. So I enjoyed that. It definitely made me want to watch NXT this week because I said to myself, well, these guys weren't on the pay-per-view, so they must have been on those matches before. And I went in there ready to watch Galloway and Ono, and I got the Velveteen Dream, and I was pleasantly surprised. I haven't seen the vignettes on NXT. I guess I don't pay attention to them or whatever, but when I saw him, I was like, what the hell is this? And then he came out super flamboyant, and I was looking at him, I was like, oh shit, that's Patrick Clark. That's the dude from Tough Enough. And so that made me like, oh, that's super dope that he made it. So good for him. He found some outrageous character that works, and let's see what they do.
On a side note, and to borrow a phrase from another podcast, he is totally Johnny B. Bad at Jace.
Have you ever watched True Blood?
No.
Oh, well, look up Lafayette.
So it's just that's who he is. But if you're thinking about a flamboyant musician portrayal, Johnny B. Bad. I mean,
well, not even music. Like it's. I get what you're saying.
It's just he's Prince.
Right.
Game. I was thinking of like Chappelle Show, like Game blouses. Like I just saw Prince.
I enjoyed what he did with that character, and I'm definitely looking forward to. It's going to lead to some interesting interactions.
Oh man! But Nigel McGuinness with So I love how in 2017 the reaction is, let's not. Well, obviously, we're not going to make fun of him or kind of say anything negative about him because he seems to be. They're not sure of his sexuality. So Nigel goes, he's ambiguous.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there like, oh my god.
Very ambiguous with his mood. Yeah,
this is what we're doing? This is what we're doing?
That was perfect. But also, on a side note, JR and Nigel calling the UK match and the UK TV series was, my god, music to my ears. Nigel McGuinness's voice has always been one of my favorites, but with JR, it was incredible. And, it's kind of crazy because obviously JR is a bit older and doesn't do this as often, but man, he's taking a step back. He didn't really know what was going on a lot.
There were a couple times where didn't he say I'm gonna let you call that because I don't even know what's going on out here.
Right. He's like, I'm gonna let you take the lead, and Nigel was fantastic, so that was perfect. But it was funny, kind of sad to see JR as the color guy instead of the play-by-play.
Yeah, but you know what?
Doesn't matter. It was still fantastic.
As much negativity as I can heap on WWE at any given point because of things I dislike, them bringing him back, especially considering what happened with his wife and how they're including him so much, it just kind of like warms my heart. It's like, you know what?
Right. And the thing with his wife, the deal was, basically done before then or on the table before then. So
it was.
That's nice to hear that it wasn't like, oh hey, his wife died. Let's bring him back.
See,
but
I actually
his return was on the table. She wanted him to go back.
Okay.
And then when she passed, he went back, and he's.
See, I actually thought that it was almost nicer because I thought that they brought him in after it happened.
I feel like that's too much. Like if somebody close to you passes, like the over response is like also inappropriate.
Yeah. I guess.
We understand you're going through something. You want to come back to work?
But see, like I would appreciate. This,
it's a nice thing.
This is just me. I would appreciate you keeping me busy.
Right,
because especially I wrote his blog post about his cat crying.
To blatantly say something like
okay, all right, yeah, all right. Agree, to disagree. All right.
Yeah.
So NXT. Oh yeah.
Go ahead. No.
So is Aleister Black
that was
a
pretty
heel?
much it. No, he's a babyface.
He is. This is mannerisms seem heelish.
He wrestled Kurt Hawkins, not Ono. He wrestled Hawkins on the NXT show.
I like to see Hawkins.
The thing that worries me, right? It's cool I like to see Hawkins in that role, fighting these NXT guys. It's better than doing nothing on Raw. But what's interesting is I think they bill Aleister Black at 205.
Really?
Right. So, like, would I mind seeing Aleister Black like kill cruiserweights? I don't know that I would mind that at first.
He's 205?
That's what they bill him as, I believe. I'm pretty sure I read that when he was like first getting his big push there.
Oh my god! So Aleister Black is listed at 6 foot, 205 pounds. He seems so much larger. I mean, I'm a small dude, but I guess they're doing a very effective job of pairing him up with people that he looks bigger than.
Right. I mean, we saw him at Evolve.
But everyone's about, other than Galloway, who was a monster.
Right, but I'm saying he wasn't, like, super large. So what you're saying is true, that they're putting him in the ring with guys that he's bigger than. And the fact that he just kills people and he's so physical, that adds to it. So, like, seeing him wrestle Neville and Aries and some of those guys there and kind of kill them or have these good up-paced matches with, I'm not super opposed to. But at some point, he's too good to just be on 205,
Well, yeah, no, it wouldn't be a good fit, I don't think.
The show would have to, like, grow for him to be on there, I feel. Like, he was already, they went to wherever, Germany and stuff, and he was already on Raw touring with them. I think he wrestled Neville, actually. But, I mean, they don't do that for everyone. Like, yeah, they did it with the China guys because they literally went to China. But they don't do that with everyone. So, that they definitely had some type of plans for him.
All right, so now to Backlash.
Oh. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this too long. I feel like I've had a great time.
There was nothing. We will get to what matters. Shinsuke Dolph was okay.
Yeah.
It was a nice debut for Shinsuke. That's what you expected to see. It was nothing more, nothing less. So, whether you want to be disappointed by that, that's up to you. But, it was a good showing from Shinsuke. It was what I expected, what I wanted to see, what I needed to see. So, especially going into the next night with the Money in the Bank and the 6 guys who are in that, jeez.
It's going to be so good. Let's go,
Shinsuke,
Sammy.
Dolph, AJ, Owens, Sammy, Corbin. I thought the angle on SmackDown was extremely stupid, where Shane was like, oh, here are the 5 guys. And then Kevin Owens shows up. He's like, oh, okay. Yep, okay, you're in. What?
Yeah, that was weird.
You didn't even make him like, hey, yeah, you've made some good points, so you know what? I'll put you in a match tonight. Like, they don't get along, so you got to sell that more. Kevin Owens was great. Shane's comebacks were not so much.
No. Can can I ask a question? I just don't. What is with the automatic rematch? They've done this before. You know, a team loses at the pay-per-view and then gets an automatic rematch the next show. So now, is Breezango done?
Well, they didn't get an automatic rematch. They lost, and then they had the one-on-one matches, and they rolled them up, and they beat them there. So then the Usos were like, okay, fine.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I know it worked out a little bit differently, but I guess my point is the idea that a team challenges for the titles on Sunday, loses, and then challenges for the titles again. That why not more space? What does Breezango have now? They've lost twice in the span of 3 days or 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, they don't necessarily need to win. They're still getting over, you know, these new babyface kind of characters, and they are entertaining as ever. So I hope WWE enjoys what they're doing and they run with this. The New Day was on Talking Smack, and they were talking about how they're coming back, and they love what Breezango is doing. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on when they're back in the fold, because where the hell is American Alpha?
Damn it! You just stole my. You just stole it. I was about to go, okay, and then American Alpha wrestled nobody because they're dead.
I mean, but this is what I'm saying. Why SmackDown needs some type of time bump, because they don't have enough time to have Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, AJ Styles, the Usos, Breezango, the New Day. They don't have enough time to put another tag team match and other single. They don't have enough.
I mean, I completely agree.
It's crazy to say that, you know, with all of the WWE stuff on, but if you're going to do 2 shows, they need to be equal. If the rosters and the talent on those rosters are equal.
Oh, and there is one thing that made me laugh. I think Matt Jackson tweeted that brother tag teams are the best, and then he listed like ROH tag team champions, the Young Bucks, PWG tag team champions, Ray Phoenix and Pentagon. WWE SmackDown tag team champions, the Usos, and WWE Raw tag team champions, the Hardys.
That is pretty crazy.
I would have never thought of that, but it's really crazy to think that that's the case right now.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
All right, so
War Machine might as well be brother.
That match was whatever.
Nothing else. What match?
The tag team match.
Oh yeah, I mean it was entertaining.
Yeah, but I just it was entertaining, but I kind of want to see Breezango look better.
Right, I thought it was a little too much.
Yeah, too much comedy.
Right, some of the stuff was just like, okay, what are you getting from this?
Will we talk about the Luke Harper versus Eric Rowan match?
No.
No, okay. We didn't want to talk about that before, so we're not going to talk about it after. What did you think about the women's the 6-woman tag?
I couldn't have cared less about this.
Yeah, I don't really like 6-person tags unless it's really pitting what I feel is too.
Even still, unless it involves the Young Bucks, and it's in like PWG, I don't care.
Okay.
Because otherwise, I know it's just going to be whatever.
Fair.
Like, 6-man tags are 6-man tags. They're not very entertaining. Then
my favorite match of the night: Sami Zayn defeated Baron Corbin. We said before the show, that last week's episode, that Sami Zayn was going to lose, and I kind of, as much as I didn't want it to happen, knew it was going to happen. This was so refreshing.
It's awesome that the one time you actually pick against Sami Zayn, he actually wins.
I jumped out of my chair. I was that excited, really legitimately very excited.
And what happens in the main event definitely makes this outcome make a lot more sense. Mm-hmm. But I can't say that I'm opposed to it. It was great. Sami Zayn can't just lose forever. Yeah, so at some point he's got to get some wins, So it was a good win. Corbin just got more pissed off, and it's going to help that angle.
I want to see Sami hinder Jinder. That's what I hope in the future.
Man, is it okay? So before we touch on all of that, AJ and Owens, I thought was really good. Uh, I this was the first match, so you don't need AJ Styles to get pinned. You don't need Kevin Owens to lose the title and get pinned. So I love the finish. I thought it was really dope. That's something I've never seen before. And how many times can you say that today in wrestling, right? So I thought it was well done.
Yeah, I really agree. I thought it was a good first match, and I don't think there's any issue. With the way AJ lost, I think it's great, and it'll continue in this feud's going to be, I think, spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, you have Money in the Bank to bridge it, right? So then let's say you have one more match, and then you have a match at SummerSlam.
That works. So that just leaves the main event.
The modern day Maharaja.
Look, I thought it was an okay match. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't over the top. We both kind of spoke about how we thought Jinder might win. I thought the best part of the match for me was Orton dropping one of the Singh brothers onto the table, and then reacting. Somebody said online he reacted like he was wrestling his little brother or cousin and forgot how much bigger he is than his cousin, because he kind of looked back like, "Oh shit, I just killed that dude."
Yeah, and however real or not that reaction was, it played into his character perfectly, because he was just like, "Ooh, damn!"
I just fucked him up.
Yeah, so it was it added to it even a little bit better. It gave you a nice little chuckle, but oof. It was good to see that he was up and fine, but man, that could have been nasty.
Yeah, it was a tad bit frightening in some ways. So,
but getting back to Sami Zayn now, I think and everyone they played this to death on Talking Smack. We're like, oh, this means anything can happen now, and who knows what's coming next. So. Who knows what's coming next? If Jinder Mahal can be the WWE champion in 6 weeks out of nowhere, and that's not to say that I'm opposed to it. I was for it. I love when it happened. I love the celebration the next day. All of that was fantastic. Although I will say, and please, if you haven't seen this, check it out. They should have, and they messed up by not having I think his name is Daler Mendy, who sings the Tunak Tunak. It is outrageous, and they missed out by not having him bring out Jinder. But aside from
fair, I'm trying to look at Raw results and see if there's anything that we should talk about.
Raw has been terrible for at least a month.
All right. Is there any way that Sammy wins the Money in the Bank challenges at SummerSlam, wins it, and then Owens demolishes him?
Owens, Corbin, I think there is a good chance. Sammy has that beef with Jinder, and he's got to be the next contender. I don't know when. The Money in the Bank is usually, so maybe we get like Sammy beats Jinder, and then Corbin cashes in Money in the Bank and kills Sami Zayn, something like that. The Money in the Bank is better for the heel, so we have to see who wins that before we determine anything else. But Sami Zayn is definitely set up to challenge Jinder, and I'm looking forward to that. That's just think about Jinder Mahal versus Sami Zayn for the WWE title. That's crazy.
Oh, I totally agree. All right,
but, and we I think we discussed this last week, and just again, people complain about everything. They complain that we want new people, we get new people, and then they complain about the new people. So you can't have it every way. This is good. Enjoy it and take it for what it is.
And listen, all respect due to this man, but when Sergeant Slaughter won the title in 1991, was anybody happy he won it?
I
When
don't think
Bob
so.
Backlund won the title as a
No
heel,
chance.
was anybody happy? No. But they put it on someone that you didn't expect. And you know what happened? Everybody wanted that person to lose, and when that person did, it got over.
Right,
So,
and Jinder is a great heel right now. The stuff he's been saying, having the Singh brothers, it's been phenomenal.
yeah,
So that helps whoever he faces.
like, are any of
And
us? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Are any? Did anyone? Does anybody look back and think that JBL
That,
was
that
amazing?
that's funny because that's what I was just going to say. Like, I think in an interview, Jinder said, like, look at JBL. Like, they rehabbed him, they made him a different character, and then he was the longest reigning champ in SmackDown history. Like, things work, man. Like, just give these people a chance and let it go. This is entertaining. This is different. It's cool to see Jinder Mahal as the WWE champion. And, it made me listen to him on Talk is Jericho, which was, I think, last week or the week before. And it was awesome. He said when he was there the first time, he kind of lost it with 3MB. He kind of stopped caring. He was gone for 2 years, right, or more. And in that time, he got out of shape. He was just drinking. And all of a sudden, he said, okay, I'm done drinking. I'm going to get back into shape. He got in this crazy shape. And he said, as soon as he got in that crazy shape, which, this is funny, TNA called him. And he said a meeting with TNA. The week before he was going to the TNA meeting, which I'm sure WWE might have probably kind of heard about, they called him and said, hey, you want to come back? So, interesting timing. But it's cool to hear someone who just busted his ass, and now he's the WWE champion.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty ridiculous. I'm happy with it, and I think it creates more possibilities. So, as I guess our discussion this week showed how we're feeling, even with a weird or different champion on top, it's more entertaining than Raw was.
1,000%. And I didn't care about Raw. I was anxiously anticipating SmackDown to see Jinder with the belt and see what they did with that. So it made me want to watch the show, and it, like you said, anything can happen. Jinder Mahal is the champion. Who knows who's going to take that off of him? Who knows who's going to hold that next? This is a guy who worked his butt off, earned it, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of guys on that roster now that are like, hey, if they pushed him after this short time or after all this stuff he's been through, then, hey, maybe if I bust my butt and I do this, then I'll get the same type of thing. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Oh, I'm pretty excited. All right, so we actually have a question this week.
No way. 2 in a row?
Yeah, it's not trivia, though. It's just a question. So this is from a longtime listener, friend Chris from California.
That didn't count.
It does count. I don't care. It's a
Anyway.
message. All right. So, hey guys, wanted to get your take on the IWGP US title tournament and who we think will come on top.
Who
Also,
we think wins?
By the way, it says thanks, keep up the great work, and by the way, you need a theme song. So we are working on that. I actually spoke to somebody last week, so we're getting something custom, hopefully.
The same person that you spoke to for 2 years?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I have two options, but I will say that I'm going to be more annoying about it now because I'd love to unveil it for our 100th episode, where this is episode number 90, I believe.
Okay.
I'm probably going to have to edit that, but whatever. And I'd love to unveil it for our Gala Spectacular 100th episode.
All
right, so anyway, well, right now, for the IWGP US title, am I wrong in saying that we only have one participant?
And who's the Jay Lethal, right?
Like, to my knowledge, yes, it was only Jay Lethal.
Right.
So,
But,
oh wait, and
right,
Adam
as
Page,
I was
apparently.
okay. Yeah, so only Jay Lethal. But um, as, as I was thinking about the question, one name popped in my head, and I think
Yeah,
it makes perfect sense,
yeah.
and that is Michael Elgin.
Wow, that's not who I thought you were going with.
When you were like, yeah, yeah, I was like, wait a minute, there's no way he
I
knows
thought
I'm
you
going
were
to
going to
say
say Kenny
Elgin.
Omega.
No, Kenny Omega's winning the world title.
But now I thought I thought it would stretch out to Wrestle Kingdom.
No, Kenny Omega is wrestling Okada at Dominion, I believe, which is like in a few weeks.
Michael Elgin. Wow, that would be.
He's huge in Japan. He was the Intercontinental Champion. I think he was sidelined with a little bit of an injury or something, but he
Yeah,
wasn't
he had like
around
an
New
eye
Japan for,
injury.
right. So now he's back. I think he wrestled Cody, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Could have been somewhere else, but so I think it'll come down to maybe those two men. Maybe it'll be Cody and Elgin in the finals, but some form of those guys will be in there.
you brought up Cody. There's a promo. ROH put it up that it's going to be on TV this week. But I thought it was pretty good where he basically got a promo that the ROH board of directors were trying to make sure that he doesn't win because they're scared to have a free agent win. And we do have that audio of the interview from a couple weeks ago that you guys can
I
find
was
in the
just gonna
archives.
say, yeah.
But where he actually said that he said he had talked about settling down somewhere too soon, and he wished he hadn't said that. And then he comes out and cuts this promo, and it's the same discussion we had before Final Battle. I enjoy this idea that almost not really in a punk-like way, but almost that this idea that he, as a free agent, might win the title, and I thought that it was a good turn of all the events that went down, and it kind of I enjoy that story going forward. But man, it would be interesting for Elgin to win. It'd be really interesting. That's a really, oof, that's a really
I
great
mean,
choice.
and I mean, let's just be frank about this. The last thing that New Japan needs is another title. I,
Yeah,
I get it. Like they only have the Intercontinental for, like the mid card guys, but you have the junior heavyweight for all of those guys. You have the
yep.
tag team. You have the 6-man. You have the open weight. I don't, and then you have the world title. I don't think you need a fourth, fifth singles title. I get it. They're coming to the United States, and having a United States Championship makes sense, but I don't know. I always like new belts, but it gets to a point where you're like, okay, this is too much. What's going to happen when they have Wrestle Kingdom? All 9 matches are title matches.
I mean, you're right. You're 100% right. I don't know. I agree with you. They're obviously trying to branch out here and go
Right.
into America and have that, that extra kind of, how do you call it? It's almost like their farms, not a farm system, but they're forming a little branch of New Japan in California. And
Right, and it's going to be interesting of how this plays out. Is it going to be defended in Japan? Is it just going to be a United States thing? How often are they going to be having shows in the States? So, those are all questions that we don't know the answer to yet.
yeah, if they try to form a home base there, are they also going to have a separate roster?
It's a good question. That's a lot to maintain, and they've always had a strong population in California. That's where Danielson and Samoa Joe were, and that's where they trained at the New Japan Dojo in Cali. So it's interesting to see what they do and how much they branch out.
Yeah, and what that does for the relationship with Ring of Honor, but already, after the G1 tournament, there is the announcement that Ring of Honor, CMLL, New Japan, are going to be visiting over in England with Rev Pro for another War of the Worlds tour, and that's
Hmm.
actually so. Ring of Honor doesn't seem to be running one of our favorite events, or at least my favorite event,
Which is?
the Field of Honor over in Coney Island.
Okay.
So they're going to be
I
away in
think they
England.
realized that that show was just a waste.
Well, I mean, a waste for the company, I guess, but
Right. It was
for
cool for us to go to,
yeah, I
but
loved it, man.
that's not true. Like, think about the people that we've sat next to and have been annoying and obnoxious. It's been outrageous. It's been quite the spectacle
But see,
from the fan base perspective.
it was a
But
spectacle, and I
right,
don't know. I liked at least going.
right, going was dope, and being next to the rail and all that sort of stuff
Yeah,
was awesome. But like seeing like nobody sitting behind, like on the field level and all that kind of stuff was like, oh man, like, this can't be worth it.
yeah,
Like my school's soccer team is gonna play at MCU Park. Like, think about that.
fair.
you know,
Yeah. All right, I get you. Okay, so you're gonna go with Elgin. I realize that I haven't made a decision. So, based on lack of knowledge on who's going to be in the tournament, and based on the names that I know who are announced, I'd love to see Jay Lethal win it.
I'll go to the only guy that's announced. It's not out of the question. He should probably be in Japan a little bit more, but for whatever reason he's not. Um, so yeah, that's not a bad choice at all.
Greatest
It,
first
it'll be interesting
generation.
once when they announce all these guys, because
Yeah.
if they really have like an all Gaijin or an all, if they don't have many Japanese guys in this tournament, it's going to be interesting. It'll be intriguing to see what they do with this belt. Imagine they have a U.S. belt and like just some Japanese guy wins it and keeps it in Japan. Wouldn't that like defeat the purpose? So I don't know.
Cody Hall. I don't even know if he's
I don't
wrestling.
even think he's there anymore.
Yeah. All right. So, anything we're
Where
missing
did
from
you
the week?
pull Cody Hall out of?
I don't know because I saw him tweet something the other day about like how he's got one foot out of this thing, but he'll still kick someone's butt. So I thought it was pretty
I've
funny.
wanted to ask you this for a few days. Why has WWE not signed like the Girls of Destiny? I don't. I'm kind of confused by that.
I don't know, but I'll counter with
Or
another
like, why
question.
doesn't Ring of Honor use them more? Like, I don't.
I'll counter with another question. Is there any chance Revival ends up going to Ring of Honor?
Why?
It's just wouldn't they be so good there?
I think there's a better chance of the Young Bucks going to WWE than
I
the
don't like.
Revival
I
or
don't.
Ring of Honor.
Shh. Don't say that out loud.
Listen to them on the Edge and Christian show. They talk about right now they're under contract in 2 years or 18 months or something. Their contracts are up and they're open to listening to whatever. They said they've never really had a discussion with WWE where they sat down and went over numbers and what we're doing, and they said that's something they would have to talk to them about before they went there, to know their role, know what they were going to be doing, and then that's something that they have to decide. But at some point, the Young Bucks versus the New Day, the Young Bucks versus the Revival, these things need to happen.
100%. I'd love to see that. Ugh.
So, like, I don't care if they go to WWE for 4 months and it's the worst 4 months of how they've ever been booked, but just give me those matches. Let me see them. Let me enjoy them. And then you can go whatever.
All right. Yeah, no, 100%. I guess that makes
Seeing the
more
Young Bucks at
sense.
WrestleMania
Yeah, that
would be one of the coolest things.
probably pretty cool. Only if Kevin Owens wears the Young Bucks outfit with him and does the rocking out like he
He
did in
gave that away,
PWG.
man. Didn't you see that on Being the
Yeah.
Elite? The
Yeah,
guy who
man.
had it
Amazing.
made me quite upset that he didn't just give it to me. But
And all right, so I think we've covered everything that we're going to probably talk about this week.
yeah,
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, just remember that you guys can catch us over on iTunes, SoundCloud. Please stop by and leave a review. It really helps us out, and rate the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed so you can get this in your iTunes account or wherever you're listening to us on a weekly basis without having to try. You can follow us on Twitter at Running Wild LWOS, as I've always said. Anything that's clever, it comes from Runz. Anything that's kind of lame comes from over here. You can always catch me on Twitter at Rich_LACONI. And also, you can catch my work over at PW Ponderings, ROHworld.com, lastwordonprowrestling.com, and most recently, I've been popping up over at pastemagazine.com's wrestling section, so make sure you stop by and take a look at some of those things. I'm going to have a Jay Lethal interview coming up soon, which is really fun. It's the same one you can listen to on the podcast. So if you want to go back and listen to it, you can hear his amazing Macho Man impression, and you can also read my great write-up of it. You can email us at runningwildpodcast@gmail.com for any questions or trivia. We love to hear any kind of feedback from you guys. It really makes the show that much more enjoyable for us to hear from you guys. Am I leaving anything out, Runz?
No, sir.
All right. So with all that out of the way, I just want to remind you guys that you're listening to the podcast that is just two